Air India, once the pride of Indian aviation, now finds itself at the center of relentless passenger outrage, plagued by poor service, old aircrafts and repeated technical failures. From broken, clogged toilets to malfunctioning engines and emergency landings, the airline struggles are both shocking and persistent. Even public figures aren't spared from Air India's convenience turbulence. Actress Lisa Ray slammed the airline for refusing a medical waiver despite valid documentation. In fact, even Union Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan questioned whether Air India was cheating passengers after being given a broken seat. Despite these promises of fleet upgrades by mid-2025, passengers continue to suffer subpar experiences. Now, joining me now is Lisa Ray to voice her concerns. Thank you so much for your time, Lisa. And if you can describe for us the circumstances under which Air India denied the medical waiver for your father.
Thank you so much for having me. And I want to make it very clear that, you know, my intention was never to slam Air India. I'm a champion of anything that potentially uplifts India's profile. But, you know, I'm in despair right now, to be honest. I'm going through this very difficult time with my father's health issues. He's 92. I had planned a family vacation, taking my twin daughters to Udaipur. I was very excited, but my father's ailing health meant that I had to cancel these plans, very sadly. So very naturally, I got a medical waiver from his neurosurgeon and submitted it through my travel agent to Air India. I was also canceling flights on Emirates as well from Dubai to Bombay. That went off very smoothly. My waiver was accepted. But Air India, for some reason, first of all, didn't reply to my travel agent. And secondly, when I finally tweeted, because on many people's advice, that seems to be the only way to provoke the airline to actually respond in a timely manner, I received, I received a gracious reply, but one that actually ultimately wasn't helpful, because they said, well, actually, your ticket isn't refundable, which is a completely different issue. And by the way, I double-checked, my ticket is fully refundable. So they said, first of all, your ticket isn't refundable. Second of all, this medical waiver, well, first of all, they asked for more documentation in terms of establishing my relationship with my father. I submitted my birth certificate. I submitted everything in good faith. Then I received a reply that we're very sorry, you can rebook this flight, but we will not offer you a refund. Now, also in the rebooking, they mentioned that you will have to pay the difference in flight as well whenever that comes up. It was one issue after the other. When I'm in the middle of these very harrowing personal circumstances, I'm sure that people can relate. You know, when you're going through a medical emergency with an elderly parent, you're already very, very emotionally distraught. And this definitely didn't help. I'm still puzzled because no final reason was given as to why my medical waiver was not accepted. It was simply kept very vague. Now, if I cancel the flight, even though my flight is refundable and my flight fare was 5,500 rupees from Mumbai to Udaipur, the cancellation fee is 4,000 rupees, which is an absolute joke if you think about it. And at this point, the reason why I appreciate this platform is because this is not an issue of money. This is an issue of enlightenment and sharing passengers' woes and enlightening the public as to the treatment that Air India, the way that Air India treats its passengers, the lack of transparency, and the lack of empathy. I'm sure it's not just me, I'm sure many, many other people have been put in this similar circumstances, whereas most airlines will accept a medical waiver, a medical emergency without question and be able to refund the full amount of the flight. So I'm still appalled, I'm still struggling with this. And the reason why I took both to social media and why I'm speaking out about it now is I think everyone should know, and you should know your rights. And it's still not very clear what the rights are. I want to add one more thing that my travel agent shared with me is that in their experience, it's very erratic. You know, they said it depends on who the customer service representative is, whether you will receive a refund or not. In their experience, some people have received medical waiver refund, and other times a strong no. This is not how you run an airline, Air India. It's simply not, and it's not acceptable.
Lisa, so just to clarify, you're saying that you're still struggling with this. So am I to understand that they haven't yet reached out to you after this very public statement that you've taken to social media, trying to understand what was their response? So they haven't reached out after that at all, and you've not heard from them? Is that what you're saying?
No, as I said, there was a particular social media manager from Air India who reached out to me via Twitter.
Okay.
We've been in communication on WhatsApp, but her last communication was, we cannot accept this as a medical waiver, so we will not refund the full amount, but we can offer you a year's, the opportunity of being able to rebook this for a year, but you will have to pay the difference in fare, whatever that may be. That is not enough. And as I extensively, sort of tried to clarify, I will not be traveling. I don't know when I'll be traveling next with my father in frail condition, and certainly not to Udaipur, where it's not easy for me to return for a family emergency. That was the main issue. The point is, why do I have to clarify this extremely delicate family situation again and again? In general, I tend to be rather private about these things, but I have chosen to make this public because I'm sure it's not just me going through this. I'm sure there are many other passengers, and it's simply unacceptable, particularly when it's a legitimate complaint, when I provided the sufficient documentation, and also, when other airlines have unquestioningly offered a refund. If you go onto their site, it's very, very vague as well. It's very, there's no transparency around, the fine print in these situations. But in general, even if you do a casual Google, in the case of a medical emergency with a medical waiver, should an airline refund your fare? And in general, almost all airlines do that unquestioningly.
So Lisa, let me ask you this, because, you said that you're probably not the only passenger, and we've actually been following this very, very closely to look at whether it is operational issues or service-related hassles. Do you believe that this incident reflects a larger issue with customer service with Air India?
I will have to very sadly say yes, because as I said, I have been trying to champion the airline. I have had mixed experiences, and I do tend to travel fairly extensively on Air India. I've had good experiences. I've had not so good experiences. I had an experience a few months ago that where a personal item of mine was actually stolen from the baggage carousel. And Air India was very unhelpful until I took to social media and tweeted about it. And then they actually stepped up and checked the CCTV cameras for me. But why should we have to always resort to that, to making it a public issue? I don't want to have to lean on whatever profile I might have. Every single customer should be treated the same way. And this is what we expect out of a national airline, an airline that carries India's name.
Absolutely.
And India's pride.
Absolutely, absolutely. Lisa Ray, thank you so much for your time, and hoping that this issue is actually resolved for you soon, and hoping that Air India also kind of gets back to you and the droves of other passengers that have been having issues for the past many weeks now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And again, I want to say that is the reason why I wanted to come forward. It's not just about me. It's not about the money. It's about alerting people to a larger issue at hand.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.